Well, hello. Get this out the way. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Reflections. I'm so glad you're here. How are you this evening? How are you? Look, I'm hoping that everyone is doing well this evening and just want to talk a little bit tonight. Talk about this past week, some activities that I was involved in. And I do want to still keep it light, although the topic that I want to talk about is heavy, but I don't want to talk about that, in depth at night, right before, some of us are unwinding, trying to go to bed. But look, how are you? Did everyone have a good Valentine's Day? I kept calling Valentine's Day Thanksgiving. I don't know why. But I kept calling it Thanksgiving for some reason. I guess I'm thankful. But did everyone have a good Valentine's Day? Did anybody do anything special? Did anybody receive anything special? Let me see. Is anyone here tonight? Let go. Let go. Is anyone here tonight? Please just pop in and say hello to me. Just say hello. And but did anyone have it do anything special on Valentine's Day? So I had a nice Valentine's Day. I really, really did. But, I won't share too much. But it was very nice. And I am so grateful and so thankful. I guess that's why I kept calling it Thanksgiving. But anyway, how's everyone? You doing well? You're doing well. Welcome again to Reflections. Reflections is a part of my Fight to Smile brand. Fight to Smile is for women who are career minded, women who are determined to succeed, women who, despite the challenges, despite the struggles, they continue to lift their head up. And despite the tears that they sometimes have to shed, they still hold their head up high and they continue to smile. So fight to smile. So again, welcome to Reflections. And tonight, it's just a dialogue, open dialogue with career-minded women, and of course, the men. They show up week after week, and I'm so excited about that. I'm excited that the men come out and support and share and add to the conversation. So tonight, I wanted to talk about the topic adultification bias. And, it is evening and we are trying to unwind, call it a night. But there's some aspects of it that I still want to talk about this evening. So for some people would say, well, what is adultification bias? And before I really jump into, what it is and how it's manifested and how we see it, I wanted to share a function that we had at my place of employment last week. And we had a luncheon for the ladies and it was called Let Girls Be Girls. And we, participated in various activities and, listened to music. We had lunch. And I was the keynote speaker. And again, my topic was adultification bias of Black girls. So, what is that? That is this implicit bias that many people hold without really realizing that they're holding this stereotype and this behavior. They don't realize that they don't necessarily realize that they're practicing this behavior, but it is the assumption that that Black girls are older than they actually are. Therefore, they are not treated with the same nurture, not treated with the same opportunities for guidance. They are not given the support that they need. And this is not something that, oh, I just read that on the internet and now I'm going to do a show on it. No, not at all. This was a study. It's been studied multiple times. However, I used the study conducted by the Georgetown Law Center on poverty and inequality, and they did a phenomenal job. They did an absolutely phenomenal job on writing the narrative and explaining the research, and it was a wonderful project. But it was also alarming, and it just for the first time really added statistical data to the fact that this bias is real. It does exist, and Black girls are harmed by it. But again, I didn't want to, be extremely heavy at night. It's Tuesday night, the day after Super Bowl, day after Valentine's. People are tired. I get it. So I did want to just kind of lighten it up, but still talking about adultification bias. And bottom line is, where did it come from? Where does adultification bias come from? And it's in the stereotypes. It's the stereotypes about women, stereotypes about women of color, African American particularly, and how these stereotypes are played out in the media. Not necessarily social media, but definitely in social media. But that's not where it started. It started in the media, be it newsprint, be it books, be it movies, from the beginning of time. And throughout our American history, when we look through at the characters that African American women played in movies, on television, there are three underlying themes. There was either she was either Mammy, the one, the um, overweight, loving mother, grandmother, big mama that took care of everyone except herself. She carried the weight of the world. She took care of, throughout, in all the movies and through in all the TV shows, she took care of everyone. She took care of everyone, and except herself. She was self-sacrificing, and her voice was never heard because she was always just trying to appease and take care of other people. Then there was Sapphire, and Sapphire was, of course, that character that she was loud and um, degrading, demeaning. She was emasculating. She just, no one could tell her anything. Nobody wanted to talk to her or deal with her because she was just Sapphire. And then, of course, there was Jezebel, and that was the oversexed, hypersexed Black female whose body was the only thing that was of value. So this is throughout history. And, we still see it today. We still see it today. And while it's not, by no means is that funny, but I do, it made me kind of made me pause and look at my own behavior and, just at the things that, while I may not be in support of those stereotypes, but yet I still watch those type of television shows. You know, um, I watch the television shows where the black female is Sapphire. You can't tell her anything. She will shoot you dead. And as long as she's wearing nice clothes and everything, it's almost like it's okay. We watch these shows. These shows are number one in the nation. When we look at shows, for several years, looked at, in more recent times, when I looked at Empire, look at Cookie Lyons. She is not the epitome of a strong black mother at all, at all. But yet and still, week after week after week, we were watching Empire, week after week. And now, it's Monet Tejada. And, I shouldn't laugh because it's not funny, but it's almost like these are the only roles still that, our African American women get a chance to play. And but the stereotype continues. It continues that she's Sapphire, or she's oversexed, or she her voice is still not heard because she is, big mama. And it's just alarming. It's alarming that still in 20, what is this, 2022, these are still the stereotypes that plague our nation. And in addition to that, they seep into the behaviors of non-minorities, and it impacts the way they see our girls and the way our girls are treated, be it in school, be it in correctional situations. When you look at the statistics and you see that Black girls will be suspended from school or receive harsher punishments, far more for the same discipline issue, far more than any other race. And it's not just Black girls, it's Black boys, definitely Black boys. But again, the event that we had earlier this week, well, last week, focused on Black girls. But it's really alarming. It's alarming. And I'm just wondering tonight, is this something that we should be addressing? You know, is this something the church should be addressing? Is this something we should be addressing in schools? Is this something that we should be addressing in our communities? And, is it enough to just address it in our own homes when millions of people watch these characters week after week, day after day in videos and music videos? And, and then it becomes an implicit bias, and it does impact how our girls are perceived when they step into the schools or into their schools, when they step outside of their homes. And it impacts the treatment that they receive. And and ultimately, it touches their lives. It can change the trajectory of their lives. So that's kind of, I know that was deep, and I didn't really want to go there on the Tuesday after Super Bowl and after Valentine's Day. But at the same time, I think it was a topic that needs to be discussed. We need to have more discussions about this, because I think, as career-minded women, we have to be mindful of how we treat the next generation, how we treat our girls, our daughters, our nieces, our little cousins, and other, you know, relatives in the family. Um, how do we treat them? I know a lot of times we are so focused on discipline, and we think that we are showing love by discipline. But sometimes, our our girls are faced with so much when they walk outside their doors, when they walk outside, not just the girls, the boys too, but when they walk outside their doors of their homes, they're faced with so much that sometimes they just need to come home and not be told what they did wrong, and not be told how they need to do better, sometimes they just need to be embraced. Sometimes they just need to be hugged and let them know it's okay. It's okay. We will get through this. We will get through this. You know, even as they, mature and start going through middle school and high school, even in college. At what point do we say, just cut them off? Um, we still have to forgive them that extra, protection or that extra coat of comfort, because the statistics, and it's not something we didn't already know, but now the statistics show that they are being, treated differently, and they're not given the same opportunities to be a kid, to make mistakes. Some people will make a mistake and they'll be like, oh well, try it again, you can do better, it'll be okay. But too often when our kids make a mistake, oh, you should have known better, and you get a zero. Nope, you shouldn't have been absent that day, and it's just punitive for them. And it's not right, it's not fair. Anybody have any comments, any statements, or anything you want to share, and why is this acting like this? Anybody have a comment? Anybody with me tonight? Everybody sleep, huh? Yeah. Super Bowl wore you out, huh? I hope your team won. I hope you were for the Rams. Like I saw the Super Bowl. But did you have a good Valentine's? Maybe you're busy with that. But nevertheless, I just wanted to share my heart tonight. I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and just take a few moments and just look at ourselves and see what role we are playing, ladies, in perpetuating the negative stereotypes that continue, continue, continue to be displayed about African American women. I know this show isn't black show, but being black, I can't help but touch on the topics that are near and dear to my heart and are part of my own lived experiences. um, I think about, that's kind of heavy. I don't want to go there tonight. I'll go there another night. But nevertheless, I'm glad you are here this evening. Thank you for popping in. It's probably going to be, I can't even see the clock right now. It's going to be a short show tonight because I know people are tired, and I know the topic is heavy and not too many people, well, no one is chiming in. But nevertheless, adultification bias, it's really an important topic that we need to continue. We as a people need to continue to address, need to face, and come to grips with. There are girls, are boys. They deserve a childhood, and being adultified before their time. And it's not just, outside races that's doing it. We are still, there are things that we as African American mothers that we are doing to our girls, that we think that we're helping, by telling them to tough it up, and don't show your emotions and stuff. We think that, that's, we think that we're doing a good job, and we're doing the best we can. We're doing the best we can. But I just wonder sometimes sometimes if we need to bring more love. So let me just, give an example. And I know I've talked about this on one of my earlier shows, but there was a situation where my daughter, she was only 7 years old, and she was a gymnast. Well, she was just in recreation gymnastics. She wasn't even in, competitive gymnastics yet. And we were at a gym where she was one of maybe two, maybe three African Americans. And at the we had an in-house event, And, the kids had 4 events that they had to do. And hands down, my daughter, won. She nailed all the skills. She, was in first place in all 4 events. And at the end, at the awards time, and, they were just getting a little medal to wear around their neck. The coach decided that she wanted to just switch things up. So what she did was, the girl who came in last place, who like landed on her head when trying to do a cartwheel, who couldn't do anything, she gave her first place. She gave her the first place prize. And we're sitting there like, what? What in the world? First place? And then, it's like, well, okay, well, I guess she's gonna, my daughter gets second place. Second place was called, third place was called, fourth place was called, fifth place. Anyway, she gave my daughter last place, the last place, last place. And, a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're just kids. It doesn't matter. Says who? Says who that doesn't matter? So, my daughter was standing there and she was in shock. And she was like, how did I get last? Mommy, how did I get last? How did I get last? And I'm gonna come to your topic, Ellsworth. I'm gonna come to your topic just a second. So she's like, how did I get last? And she was standing there and she just wanted to cry. And I could see the tears balling up and she was getting ready to go in. And I remember sitting in the audience and I stared her down and I said, you better not cry. You better not cry in front of these white people. I said it, I did. It was wrong. It was wrong. Oh, by looking back, I have evolved, But at that time, I was like, you better not cry. And I ran up to her. I was like, don't you dare cry. Don't you dare cry. We will deal with this. You can cry when we get in the car. And I thought I was helping her be strong, be strong. But what I taught her is, no matter how hard it hurts, you don't cry. And now this is a young lady who became an athlete, who, had an ACL tear and hamstring issues, knee issues, been in cast, surgery, physical therapy, and she would not cry. She did not cry in front of other people till she was 13 years old. Okay. And but I did that, and I thought I was teaching her to be strong, and so I mean, these are the little things that I was talking about that we, sometimes we have to go back and rethink our parenting strategies and how we are trying to prepare our kids to face a community or a society that sees them in a different light. So there was a comment. It says, what can we as a Black community do to change the narrative of this topic? That's a great question. I think it begins with us starting to look at ourselves, and looking at those little things like me, trying to raise her to be so strong that I didn't give her an opportunity to be human. Because when something hurts, it hurts. And she should have been able to express that emotion, but I stifled it. And it was years later. It was like 2 years ago that I was just laying in bed one day and I thought about it and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And I called her, in her dorm or wherever she was living at that time on campus. And I was like, I'm sorry. It's like, what are you talking about? And, we talked through that. But I think it begins by we have to first we got to address the big elephant in the room, that the issue is real. It does exist. Um, and, a lot of times we try to we just tell our kids, oh, that's just how it is, or that's how it was when I was growing up. That's how people are. And we have to address this issue, and it's real, our kids aren't being treated fairly. And they are not many times, not all, of course, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but too often, and the data shows too often our kids aren't given that fair playing field, that level playing field. So how do we really prepare them for that? And being tough and being hard isn't necessarily it's not really effective. Is not effective, you know. So what can we do to change that narrative? Address it, because it has its long-term consequences. Because when we've been as stereotypes, we have been mammy, talking about the Black woman. She's been mammy, she's been sapphire, she's been Jezebel. And now, we're the strong Black woman, and the strong Black woman don't take any, mess. And the strong Black woman can handle anything. And the strong Black woman is opinionated. She's determined. Yeah, she's all of that. She is. We are all of that. All of that. But you know what else? We're also the highest we're the ones who are dying the fastest of heart disease. We're the ones most likely to die giving birth. We're the ones most likely to die given any type of health outcome. If we get heart disease, we're the ones most likely to die from it. So so being strong is killing us. It's killing us. So we have to address this. We have to address these issues. And so to change the narrative it has to first begin with the fact that there's a problem. There is a problem. The problem exists. And it starts, we have to take the time to look at us. And again, I thank you for the gentlemen that are watching. I'm so grateful. But ladies, we have to learn to start taking care of ourselves. We have to take those moments. We can't be big mama to everybody all the time. Big Mama, Big Mama. Remember the movie Soul Food? Remember Big Mama? Oh, Big Mama had all the answers to all the questions that have been boggling the world for years. Big Mama can make anything taste good, feel good. But Big Mama had diabetes. Big Mama died because of diabetes, not taking care of herself. So we can't, continue that narrative. We're leading the statistics in our deaths. We're dying early. We are 7.5 years older than our Caucasian counterparts. Therefore, we're going to the grave sooner. We're going to the grave earlier. And these are issues that, if we want to change the narrative, we have to address the narrative and recognize that there's a real issue. There's a real problem here. So that was a great question. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. Let me look on Facebook. You know what? Facebook acts so funny with me. Let me log out and then log back in, because Facebook, it'll show all my comments after I hang up or after I get off the call. Then I'll be mad. So let's see. Let's try this. Okay, now I can get back to it. Okay, here we go. And nope, no comments on Facebook still. But that's it. That's it for real tonight, because this is late. Now I've gone overtime. But it's just things that it's been heavy. And it's been a lot to think about. It has really been a lot to think about. It's been a lot to process. And we have so far to go. But our next generation is so deserving and so worthy of the opportunity to develop the best versions of themselves. And I think taking the time, talking about these kind of topics, late at night before we go to bed. It's sometimes just the antidote that we need so that we can remember, ladies, that we have to take time, take care of ourselves, because if there is no us, there's no one to take care of all the things that we are trying to do. So, with that, I thank you for joining me tonight. Yay! I hope you enjoyed this show. Please share it with others, and you all, excuse me, you all have a wonderful evening. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. I promise I'll be here. I'll see you next week. Take care.